Today is August 4th, 2019, and it is Sunday. In the Bible, Sunday is called the Sabbath, and there's an instruction given to Moses by God that declares, remember the Sabbath and to keep it holy. Well, when you say holy, what that actually means is to keep it whole, complete, unified, harmonious functionality. That's what holy means. And when you are holy, you are truly spiritually connected to God. You are connected to nature. You are part of the whole complete unit that is this universe. There seems to be a misconception about keeping the Sabbath holy. And from what I know personally, my experience, it was going to church every Sunday in an effort to praise and worship God. And I thought that all was well when I was participating in certain activities as such as going to church every Sunday until many moons ago, I found out exactly what worship means. And I found out that it has nothing to do with trying to entertain God. You see the songs of praise, uh, hear the songs of praise, and other things and whatnot that's done in the church to try to inspire people and hopefully stir up the attention of angels and get an audience with God. But considering how things flow predominantly when people aren't in church, it appears as though that particular methodology isn't quite right. So, if you look in the Bible, it talks about doing the work of the Lord. And yeah, there are instances, especially in the Old Testament, where people would do songs and praise and whatnot. But a lot of that was more so for human benefit, to make people feel good about themselves. If you really think about it, singing hymns and songs and whatnot, what it's really supposed to do is to kind of stir up the faith within the individual. Faith to understand how to trust, let go, and let God do his job in our lives. But when you talk about the true work of the Lord, it's something a little bit different. If you go to church, and nothing wrong with singing hymns, uh, that kind of thing, nothing wrong with hearing a good inspirational sermon. I mean, you never know when something might click within the heart and jumpstart something good, some kind of permanent goodness in your life. But I used to notice, and you probably have too, and people go to church and they have all kind of weird a- attitudes, and there's arrogance, conceit, pride, uh, hate, and so they go into church with these attitudes, and they not only go into the church with these attitudes, but they hold on to these attitudes. They go into the church with these attitudes saying that, okay, well, God's going to clean up my heart. But the interesting thing about that is that God is holding us accountable to just let go of the nonsense. The nonsense is something that we took a hold of and decided to use and wield against our fellow man, against our fellow woman. And in our minds, we consider that as handling life, taking care of business. Some people even think it's being godly. If you want to really do the work of the Lord, if you really want to worship God, which is what worship truly implies, it means to do godly work. The next time you go to church and you see your brother or your neighbor that you have a grudge against, or some kind of vendetta, go to your brother, go to your neighbor and say, hey, let's squash this. I'll be the bigger man. um, Let me take the time out to apologize for any way I've offended you or any wrong that I've done. Let's do our best to wipe the slate clean and start all over. And what that does is that it removes the grudge that served as a disconnect between you and your neighbor. Now you and your neighbor or your brother or whoever, you guys are now united as one. You are whole. You two are a unified unit, a unified body. That's how you technically remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm Dario Thomas, and I am the author of the Spiritology books. Um, Here's my first book, The Power of Spiritology. And this book can give you a myriad of ways to let go of that inner harsh energy that's the source of grudges and hate and anxiety. It can show you how to get to that and begin to gradually dispense with it. Thank you for listening. Be blessed.